So thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Um, all right, so let's see here, guys. Let me get this all set up. Let me close out Steam and all these extra windows open and stuff like that. So for those who are in the chat, Triforce Johnson, he's been with Nintendo for a long time, man. He's been doing all sorts of stuff. He was the first in line to get various different systems, Matt Reggie Fils-Aimé, all that stuff. So, and he was one of the guys, back in 2013 when Nintendo got really close to canceling Evo. He was one of the guys that helped out to make sure that that event wasn't canceled. So I thought he'd be good to bring on to talk about some of the most recent things, especially with the big house, cancellation of the tournament, what's been going on there, some of the bad PR press that Nintendo's been going through. So I think it's going to be a good discussion. I think it's going to be a good discussion once we get Wes on and everything. I think that if you want Triforce, if you're ready to start, we can start. Then when Wes jumps in, then we can just add him in as he gets here. So
Okay, cool. Give me 2 more seconds to this, and then yeah. All right, so I'm pretty much ready right now. Do you hear a lot of noise in the background on my end?
there is some, but I don't think it's going to be too bad.
All right, I turned on the noise suppression just to make sure.
Yeah, I noticed that there was
Yep.
some noise. There was some noise suppression. I'm gonna bump up your volume just a little bit, but I think we should be good. We should be good.
Okay, so thank you for having me on your show again. I really what I saw your a guy called Jarion.
Yeah, I know,
He's a
Jaron. Yeah.
so you know Jarion. He
Hmm.
put out a tweet about what you were saying regarding the matter with the Smash Melee community and so forth, and you brought up a point about how the situations was dealt with then and now, and I'm kind of upset, not by you obviously. I'm kind of upset at how this generation of Nintendo leaders. It's very important for me to actually state in detail what I mean. I am not talking about the Nintendo community. I am talking about the leaders of the Nintendo scene and the leaders, some of those leaders are from the Smash Brothers community because of their influence, their great influence. And I wanted to touch on the entire Nintendo matter as a whole because I come from the old guard, and the way Nintendo works has not changed, and I don't think it will ever change. I There was one time it made it a effort to really become immersed into the community, and that was under Reggie's administration. And although a lot of great things came out of it, it set up the problems you see today. And if you allow me a little bit to go into it, then we'll get to the core issue of the problem regarding the Etikons and the Smash Brothers community, uh, and how everyone is now bashing against Nintendo. Number one, it is absurd, disingenuous, and outright wrong for people to sit here and say Nintendo does not care about their community. That's like the level, the level of the flagrant foul on that is ridiculous. And this is not me sucking up to Nintendo or anything like that. During my time working with Nintendo and doing the launches and stuff like that, there were things that didn't go well with me and Nintendo. But these are disagreements, misunderstandings, or just difference of opinions. And in life, you're going to always run into that because we're human. You're going to run into differences of opinions with people. You're going to run into misunderstandings, etc. But that does not make someone an enemy. That does not make someone a bad guy. And the way some of these leaders are in the scene, when they talk about Nintendo, when you look at some of the articles, Nintendo once again is disconnected from their community. That is ridiculous. Name another video game company that has been involved with the gaming community directly, like Nintendo, in the last 30 years. None. So, how can anyone even make that comment? Who's done launch parties? Who's done symphonies? Who's done street teams? Who's done sending out products like merchandise, Nintendo Power magazines, Nintendo Clubhouse, My Nintendo, all of these things that Nintendo has done for the scene. Like, how could anyone sit there and say Nintendo hasn't done for their community? They have done more for their community than Sony and Microsoft combined times 5.
Because they've been
So,
around longer.
regardless if they've even been around longer, Microsoft and Sony has more money than Nintendo, so they could do more in the shorter period of time. They have money. Nintendo, first of all, those two aren't even video game companies. They're subsidiaries to a application giant and a consumer electronic giant. Nintendo's the only first-party video game company left on the planet. First party.
So let me ask you a question though, Triforce, because I think this is where like it's good to have I was gonna have Fidel on because Fidel has some interesting opinions on this, and it's good because I think that the way that you I personally feel like what you're saying is like Nintendo does a lot of community stuff. I mean, myself, to give you a little bit more, I know you said that you work with Nintendo, you had disagreements and all of that, which I also had the same thing. I've been working with Nintendo since 2014, when the first copy, I was saying on my stream, the first copy of a game that I got from them was a shipped copy of Hyrule Warriors for the Wii U, and I had to ship it back to them, and I had to pay for the shipping. I had to pay for the shipping there and back. So obviously there's been, that's where I started. And then now at this point, I went from that point to being invited to go play Fire Emblem Three Houses, at their Los Angeles PR place, their Golden Head. So it's come a long way, right? We went from making literally it was very difficult to even make a single penny off of fair use reviews, fair use coverage of their own games, right? Like news coverage, which is fair use, right? Where we couldn't make anything off that, or it was very difficult. You had to edit to the T or just use pictures. So now, to now where they give us footage to use to where we can monitor, where I get exclusive footage of Hyrule Warriors in a preview that they give me with one of their Treehouse, with actual Nintendo. So a Treehouse member who's working on the game, so we have come a long way. There are things that they do for community, YouTube, stuff like that gets kind of overlooked. But I think what people are saying here, and I think, maybe you can speak on this a bit more too, is like what people are saying is like, okay, well, where is that level of support for the Smash Brothers community? Why is there, the cancellation of the tournaments and stuff like that?
Hey,
so maybe can you speak on that?
Directly. Let's address that directly.
Okay.
There has been a friction between Nintendo and the Smash Brothers scene, not the community, the scene. People have to understand there's a big difference between the community and the scene. The scene is our people, influencers, leaders, tournament organizers, and directors that have used Nintendo's intellectual property to create an infrastructure that generates them money with Nintendo not knowing. Let me go back to 2013 where it all started, because it's been 7 years in the making. And stuff like this, I don't even speak out. I didn't talk about these type of things back then because this was business, confidential information that if Nintendo wanted it to be public, they would have made it public. But Reggie has now since retired. So what I say now is something I would have never said during Reggie's time. Evolution set up the Smash Brothers community. They used them. They literally used them. They manipulated the Smash Brothers community to get Smash Brothers into Evo, because they know that if they went and asked Nintendo directly, the red tape that would have to go through to get Nintendo to give them a yes in time for Evo, they would have never gotten it. So they set up the breast cancer, what's the name of this thing here? Charity awareness, right? Where 100% of the money that goes in, whoever makes the most amount of money for the charity, that game gets into Evo. But what ends up happening here is this. When the game gets into Evo in 2013, the people who have to enter the tournament to pay the venue fee, Nintendo doesn't get that money. So Evolution was making money off of Nintendo's game, and they did not go to Nintendo. Number 2, liability. You don't know what can happen at that tournament. Someone would have gone there, lost the tournament in Smash Brothers. A kid would have got up, got angry, stabbed the kid in the chest. I'm just hypothetically speaking. Whatever. It was Nintendo's game that brought those people there. They could be held liable. Nintendo is a huge company. Their lawyers have to go, they have to oversee all of that. They have to, there's checks and balances. That's why the red tape is so long. They don't want to be sued by some angry, disgruntled person. It's not because they want to just say no, because they just want to be scumbags and they just want to, we don't want you using our game. That's not the case. That's people say that because they don't get their way. That's the reality behind it. So when the situation came, Nintendo didn't even know there was a charity event being set up. They found out after they sent the cease and desist. The cease and desist was sent to Evolution. It wasn't sent to there was no community that Nintendo wasn't talking to anyone in the community.
Let me ask you a question on this. And sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to ask a question on this, and I think that it'll help fill the discussion. Why is it with this game in particular? Excuse me. Why am I getting Xbox Live messages? Anyway, why is it with this game or with back then with Evo? All the other companies, if I'm not correct, maybe I'm wrong, but all the other companies were notified about the games being in there, right? Beforehand, they knew that everybody. But why was it that Nintendo was not notified from the Evolution staff about the whole thing? Why was there a lack of that? Is it whose duty is it to go? Because like I'm not into. I've never entered an Evo tournament. So who starts that conversation? Does Evo go to the companies and say we want your game, or is it the other way around?
No. You can't. That every single video game belongs to the producers. You want to use their video games for anything, you must contact the company. ESL did it, MLG does it, World Cyber Games does it, every other major esports brand does it. You contact the producers and the developers of the game because you are using their game in your brand, and they need to know what your company is about. They need to know what you're about, what you do. They need to check your books. There's a lot of legality to this. You can't just run and just take somebody's game and just, I'm hosting a video game tournament. That's not how it works. Evolution is called Double Perfect Productions. People don't even know that. It's an actual company.
Yeah.
Evolution is not some community ran event. It's a corporation, a company. It makes millions of dollars a year. And they literally said, let us do this charity event. It's going to win. This will put Nintendo in a situation. Two things can happen. Either Nintendo goes under the radar, Nintendo doesn't know, and then they get a free use of the game. Or if Nintendo knows, we can get off the hook by saying, oh, we were doing it for charity. And it would make Nintendo look like the enemy if they try to attack them in public to protect their intellectual property. When that happened, when I saw that happen, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe these scumbags just did that. I had to call Nintendo the same day, and I said, I need to speak to Reggie regarding the Evo situation with Melee 3. I have community information and intel to help you guys make a better decision on what you need to do. Tell him it's Triforce. Reggie hit me back in an email. I'm going to have a meeting. I want you to call in on the meeting. I'm going to have XYZ name, and we're going to hear what you have to say. And then I explained to them, you got set up. I literally just told them that. You just got set up. Mm-hmm. But you guys, I know you guys are planning on coming out with a new Smash Brothers, and the new Smash Brothers wasn't even announced yet, and that was for the Wii, the Wii U. But this would be a great opportunity for Nintendo to connect directly with the community. You know what Nintendo admitted to me at the time? They knew nothing about Evo. They was like, what is this Evo thing? I was like, wow. They didn't even know about Evo as an organization. Didn't even know. So I told them, currently they're the authority in the fighting game community and worldwide when they host these video game competitions, etc., whatever. And you got put in a position now where if you try to fight this, you look bad. And you have your next game coming out. And if you kind of go against this, it may hurt the sales of the next game. This is the question that was asked to me. What would you suggest us to do? I said, open dialogues with the people at Evo. Make sure that you have some type of supervision because it is your game at the end of the day. Let them run it. This will help push your game moving forward, etc., etc. I have some gamers that's in EMP that plays Smash Brothers, and they have huge influences. I can put them on a campaign, and we can try to help mitigate the damage. And at that time, I had Mutual King was still in EMP, and we had Wes and we had Compton, and we had all Kubu and Dyer and a bunch of other guys from Deadly Alliance that was representing EMP. So we had members in the community that could soften the blow and make all sides win. Evo wins, Nintendo wins, the community wins, everyone gets the games, everything gets good, right? So Nintendo's like, okay, thank you for the intel, Triforce. We'll keep you updated on what our decision is going to be. We're going to go over this, and we're going to choose the best course of action for Nintendo. A day later, Nintendo reverses the decision. Evo gets the game. Later on that year, they already started putting out hints for Smash Brothers. That's when Reggie hosted that Come Game with Reggie type thing in December of 2013 at Nintendo. Well, it's no longer called Nintendo World, but at that time it was called Nintendo World. And that's when I told Reggie, you guys need to get back into esports. People are using your games to represent esports, not knowing that Nintendo was one of the pioneers for esports, going all the way back to the Nintendo Power Fest and the Nintendo World Championships. That's why Reggie had that tweet put out at the end of 2013. How many of you guys would like to see a Nintendo World Championships come back? And everyone was like, what? And I literally pre-tweeted it before he even sent. I said, incoming tweet from Reggie. And everyone's like, what? And that's why you saw the Nintendo World Championships come back. The whole point I was trying to do, I was trying to influence and navigate Nintendo as a corporation to get involved with the community leaders, tournament organizers in the fighting game scene to help Nintendo get back into their prominent place in esports by working with the community.
So,
well, then
let me ask you a question with this, Triforce. And yo, that's some amazing information, by the way. That's to like actually hear the behind the scenes. That's the first time I knew that you were involved in that
video.
Yeah, but I mean, like the fact that you. There was more to it, that like what you said, and then what was going on, and like what the term like that. If that is, I mean, I'm not even gonna say if that is true. I'm gonna take your word for it here. And yeah, you would have to go to the company. But the fact that Evo didn't contact a company as big as Nintendo with this whole thing beforehand, personally for me, if I'm running Nintendo and this is business, right? Is that seen as a little bit of a slight disrespect? That you didn't contact us beforehand. Now, obviously, we don't have Evo's side of it. Maybe they said, oh, we talked to them. Maybe they didn't. Maybe Nintendo ignored them. Maybe there's somebody at Evo that says that. But I would have thought that they would contact them beforehand. Then it forces them into a situation, because why wouldn't you? Because from everything that I recall, that's why I asked you the question. The question that I asked you was like, does Evo contact these video game developers and say, hey, we're going to do this with the game and all that, let's work on business? You say yes, but for some reason, so even back then they were doing that. Back in 2011, back in 2012, back in 2013, they were doing this. But for some reason, even though we knew that it looked like Smash Bros was going to win, for some reason Nintendo wasn't included on that. Let's call them to let them know this is what's going on, despite this being a multi-million or $100,000 corporation that makes a ton of money, and it's a big thing. Even back in 2013, making a lot of money, they didn't take the time to even mention or even to hit Nintendo up about this when it's a game being added in. I find that would be, if I'm looking at it from the outside looking in, or as a business, I mean, that's definitely seems like it's disrespectful, or they don't care about the game as much or something, because maybe the game should have been in their default as a game, and maybe it shouldn't have been having to be charitied in. It should have probably been a default game in there.
They had a legitimate concern, and their legitimate concern, which is based off opinion, right? People throwing opinion out there that Nintendo is hard to work with, right? Some would say, well, if they contact Nintendo, Nintendo would have said no. Then give Nintendo the chance to say no. It's their game at the end of the day. And if they want to say no, let them say no. This is not a personal thing. This is business. It's their game. Now, let's move a little bit forward so we can get to where we are now, right? Since that time, Reggie has taken it upon himself to say, no, that's too much information. That information is that's like deep corporate. So
don't say anything that's gonna get anybody in trouble.
I literally got notes here, what I'm going to speak on and what I'm not going to speak on. Okay. So I already know what now. Unlike certain people in this generation, they get an email that they can talk to a top head in Nintendo and they just put their information out there. Complete betrayal. complete betrayal to Nintendo when they allow them inside information. It's disgusting. These guys can go and talk to Kit Ellis. They can go talk to Krista. They can go talk to David. They can talk to people in the treehouse. And when they don't get their way, they just jump on Reddit. They just jump on Twitter and just blast Nintendo. And it's like, wow. And now you wonder why Nintendo doesn't want to talk to any of you guys. You wonder why Nintendo doesn't want to have any inside scoop. Look how you guys act. And I'm not talking about the community, Nintendo community and Smash Brothers community. Separate yourself from this conversation. This has something to do with you guys, but I am not talking about you guys. I am talking about your leaders, your influencers. These guys are betraying corporate confidentiality, a bridge that took 10 years to build, and they're destroying it because they don't get their way. Personally, not the community. Those individuals who are leaders, those same guys who are just attacking Nintendo about free melee, we're gonna boycott Nintendo. Then yesterday on the VGA Awards, Sephiroth and those same guys that were saying boycott Nintendo made videos about Sephiroth's release that has over 80,000 to 100,000 views. So like they won't even stand on their own point.
Okay, let's talk about that because we didn't talk about like the free melee. Like let's get into that discussion. So this is something that I find interesting. Real quick, also, sorry to be interrupting so many times, Triforce. It's not that I'm trying to interrupt you. I'm just trying to move the conversation until we have like multiple points to hit on. So Good Money Now, thank you for the $20. He has he says salute to PlayerEssence and the legend Triforce Johnson. Good to hear you two building again. Yeah, absolutely. I've had Triforce on multiple times on the show. Yeah. Real quick, guys, for those who just joined us or if you don't know, we had some people saying some weird stuff in the chat. Triforce is not crazy. Triforce is not, he's a guy that's been around for a long time. He knows Nintendo. That's why I put a picture of him and Reggie in there, guys. So he's not just some random person that doesn't know what he's talking about. He's been in the esports community for decades. He's had his own team that he's ran with, professional esports players. He's been close to Nintendo. He's advised them obviously on multiple different things. He's been the first in line to get the Wii and the Wii U. He's obviously runs a YouTube channel, streams himself, does some good stuff, has a whole content that he does with his wife and her friends. So he does a lot of stuff, guys. He does a lot of stuff in gaming. So he's not just some, random person that I just decided to bring on.
Don't mistake the passion in my voice and how I talk for me being crazy or erratic.
Exactly.
When I get passionate about something, especially when people are dissing Nintendo after all they do, I talk like that sometimes. So pardon my passion.
I talk like that normally when I'm not upset or when nobody's doing anything. People tell me the same thing, like, OJ, why are you so? It's like, bro, first of all, it's entertainment. Okay, so just enjoy the entertainment. Okay, we're not at a coffee table. Okay, we're not inside Starbucks. Okay, it's a discussion about gaming and it's about stuff like that. So you guys just relax and then just enjoy the show. And for people that are asking me who is, I literally just explained it. So I don't know why you guys aren't paying attention. I literally just I've actually explained it twice now at this point. And there's a picture of him. So even if I don't say anything, I have a picture of Triforce with Reggie Fils-Aimé grabbing a Wii U. So at least there's something for you to go off of right there. Okay, guys? There's at least a picture. At least there's that. Okay, so if he's taking a picture with Reggie, obviously he was the first one to get it, right? Because that's what Reggie does. He took pictures with people, the first one to get in the lines for stuff or whatever. All right, so there you go. Anyway, I wanted to talk about this whole free melee thing, and what you hit on was interesting because I do find that a bit strange, which I talked about and I want to bring up a tweet. I kind of want to get your opinion on this because I talked about this earlier. So I'm pretty sure you know Leffen, right? You know of Leffen. So he says this because it goes on what you said about people who said F Nintendo, F this, F that. I mean, I've seen streamers who literally said that, like when the whole free melee thing and all that happened with the big house, say F Nintendo this, F Nintendo that, and literally stream Super Smash Bros. Ultimate later that night. You know what I'm saying? Like they streamed it later that night. They continue to make content, make money, do whatever the case is, but they're like F Nintendo. You know what I'm saying? Which is, I guess that's fine. But to me, that sounds a little bit hypocritical. If you're going to say F this, F that, F this, F that with this company, and then continuously promote, play, pay for their services, pay for their products, do all this stuff like that. I personally feel like you need to have a little bit of self-control because I've said like screw EA, but you don't see me the same day that I say screw EA playing Battlefield and paying for EA access and all. You don't see me doing that. So it almost to me it sounds like fake rage. But I wanted to let you know about a tweet that Leffen said here. Like, I understand the sentiment, guys, and I'm not against with what these guys, and I don't think Triforce is like necessarily against with the general base message. I think it's the way that it's being done, the way that they're going about it is, I think, the problem. So Leffen says, if I see any of my Smash content creators do a reaction video but not include a quick bit about hashtag save Smash, you're done. So I wanted to get your thoughts on this because to me, maybe I overreacted a little bit, but I wanted to get an answer from Leffen because, you know, these guys often live in a bubble. They don't want to talk to anybody outside of their Smash bubble. They only want to talk to people inside the Smash bubble community, which creates a really weird perspective, in my opinion, when you're not willing to branch out just a bit. So this sounds like a threat to me, you know? Like, what does, if you don't mention save Smash, you're done. What does that mean? What it sounds like, because he has 300,000 followers. So
Yes.
that sounds like that's like he's going to send a hate mob. He's going to go after somebody. So what does that mean?
Here, okay, so let me put this in perspective because I want to bring Wes in on this because Wes, when it comes to so like you had mentioned earlier that we had an esports team. We actually still have our esports team. Esports is just not as big this year because of the pandemic. Everything is virtual, so we're still online playing. We have an entire division in Empire Arcadia that's literally dedicated just to Smash Brothers, and it's called Deadly Alliance, which that's Wes is on the call with us. He heads our entire Smash division. He deals with all things Smash, from when we had Mewtwo King to when we had Armada to when we had PC Chris. He's still playing as Sinji. We have Vinia. We have all these other players that does Smash, and he's still dealing with Smash right now. He even made a parody video, which is kind of funny. We'll show you that later on. I think you'll laugh at that. But these guys, when they write stuff like that, they're delusional. And I'm what I'm about to say, people can go take this to Leffen and them and Hungry Box and all these guys. You guys are delusional. Nothing you say matters. You don't lead the Smash Brothers community. And I'm talking about the esports one, the way you think you do. You have a certain amount of influence when it comes to the competitive aspect and how the game is played, but you have no influence. If tomorrow you say something bad about Nintendo now and a mob comes out, Nintendo can release Geno from Legend of the Seven Stars. Oh, new character being released, and your entire point gets destroyed tomorrow. You have no power over Nintendo. Everything you're doing in Smash Brothers is because Nintendo allows you to do it. Without Smash Brothers, you're nothing. That's not an opinion. That's not me snapping at you. That's just what it is. Take away Smash Brothers, what are you? You're nothing. So you need to relax, stay in your lane, and respect those that allow you. Yes, you're being allowed. You're given the permission from the top. It's like, let them rock. You're not a boss. You don't run anything. So there's no, if you don't do this or else. Or else what? There is no or else. You don't run anything. You're not at the VGA Awards. You weren't nominated for Esports Player. You're nothing. Well, you're just a top player.
Well,
That's it.
Hungry Box was 1 year with the nomination for.
And what is he now? And what is he now?
He's a big time content creator. He makes a lot of money on Twitch. He's a big time. He runs tournaments. And like I see I see the general sentiment of what you're saying. My only issue with this though, my only issue is this. My issue is that if you're a leader, and Wes's mic is muted, so Wes, whenever you want to hop in, feel free to do so, dude. Hey, what's up, Wes? How's it going?
I'm alright.
Good to have you on. For those who don't know, Wes, if you've watched the Super Smash Brothers documentary, he is an old school player in there, big on the crew battles from the East Coast and everything. So, Wes, first time that I ever spoke with you, man. So, good to have you on, bro.
Thanks for having me, man.
No problem. Thanks for coming on. And maybe you can give us some perspective on this. So, so you know, in terms of my issue is that is this the way that it's that they're going about it. I think that this type of tweet and the point to say what Triforce is saying a little bit more nicer. I think that are these type of tweets, is this detrimental to their cause? Like this, like when they quote tweet Nintendo of America, so the Nintendo Versus channel, which obviously knows of Leppin, they see it, they see these quote tweets, they follow these guys, right? A lot of the Nintendo Versus channel, Nintendo of America, like they see what's going on, especially from check marks, okay? Do these type of tweets, like to kind of get Wes's opinion, do these tweets help their cause at all?
These dudes just go where the wind blows them. I'm gonna just keep it real with you, man. Another thing is what you said before, they're stuck in their bubble, their Smash bubble, mainly because the Smash community, or rather the competitive Smash community, puts them on a high pedestal, mainly because it is one word and it's very dangerous. This one word is calling these guys gods. In my eyes, they're not gods, but to everyone else, they're gods. I'm not a fan of idolizing anybody. I believe in, I guess, aspiring to beast like somebody else, but idolizing is very kind of dangerous, mainly because when you idolize somebody, you see no wrong in them. So if they do one little thing, like what happened in the Smash Brothers community, when it came to all these allegations, everybody just got dethroned. So them being seen as gods is very dangerous, in my opinion. That's why they act the way they act. They think they could do whatever they want to do and say whatever they want to say. And it is hypocritical for them to 1 minute say F Nintendo. Like, you gotta have the same energy. If you're gonna say F Nintendo, save Smash, you're not winning the war. Me and my friends make a joke, like, you're not winning this war against Nintendo. As long as the developers always win the war, mainly because they own the IP, and without them, you can't do anything. But yeah, that's my whole opinion about those guys in regards to them being leaders. And it sucks that they are the examples of being leaders in the Smash Brothers community.
Yeah. May I jump in, Wes, yes, and just piggyback off that for a second?
Feel free.
Here's an example. All right. Age of Calamity came out. You know, I've been with Nintendo for 20-something years, right? Between the community and the industry. I found out something about Age of Calamities I did not like, right? All my influence, my legal name is actually called Triforce. Nintendo recognizes me as Triforce, literally. Something doesn't come in the game. I tweeted to Nintendo, and all I said to them is, I am disappointed in what they did in the game, and I hope in the future that they would DLC the reason why we all bought the game. We all bought the game because we wanted to experience how Breath of the Wild came to be. Unfortunately, you find out in the game that you don't really get to totally experience it.
Hold up. No spoilers. There's still some people that haven't beat it yet.
Oh, there's still no people? Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. So, okay. But notice how I asked them. It was a question. And I said, I hope. Because I'm being respectful to the fact that it's their game. They could do whatever they want from it. I'm not entitled to get what I want. If what I want is not in the game, you know what my choice is? Don't buy it. That's it. My choice isn't to create a Twitter mob and force Nintendo to create something and put it in the game for what I want. That's not how that works.
Okay, so but let me add in with this though to kind of facilitate that, kind of play like devil's advocate a little bit, because I do feel for some of these guys and what they're saying. You know, I think we all can feel for that, especially Wes. You know, you were a competitive player. You were in that scene for a long time. For a long time. You've been there. You've seen it all. So. How do you guys feel, to kind of address this point here? How do you guys feel about the big? Let's talk about that situation in particular. The big house. I think a lot of people in the chat want to know about this too. Like, we can talk about, complaining on Twitter, threatening, blah blah blah. But the reason why all this started, okay? And then there was more rumors about Nintendo and what they've said. There's rumors from some random person, or Ludwig, I think the guy, he made a video on it. He's a leader that I'm not very happy with what he said either. Hugo Hugs, not very happy with what some of the stuff that he said. I think that for people that are in their 30s, especially Hugo, the way that he's been talking is just, to me, that's not like making stupid, silly, childish picks. He's like 35 or something like that. But anyway, whatever. Like the fact that they're going to sit there and with the big house using GameCubes with with the Slippy mod and online. Nintendo sponsors the big house. I want to get you guys' thoughts on this, because I personally feel that maybe Nintendo should have let it rock, with that, but I get it. It's a You know, it's emulated copy of the
Let
game.
me
No
tell you why.
company,
Let me tell.
no
Let me
company lets
tell
them do that.
you.
So, what's your thought process on this? I want to
Let me
Triforce
tell
first, and then I
you
guess Wes
why.
next.
I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
One, is it me or did we forget what happened in the summer, which is the darkest time in the entire Smash Brothers community? Is it me or did I? I know that. Wait, what was it again? And I'm being sarcastic here, right? It was the Me Too movement. The Smash Nintendo right now wants to just go in a corner and say, look, we're gonna drop Sephiroth. We need everyone to shut up and allow us to drop this game. Everyone gets back to playing it. Let us try to recover our face next year, and let's see what's going to happen next year. We're in the middle of a pandemic, so we shouldn't even be running any tournaments. You can't be running a tournament with our game. People come, then you want us to support it, but then you're side branding something on our own stuff. Wait, what? Did you talk to our legal team about that? Oh, that's right, you didn't. So you want to do that on top of the fact that there was a Me Too movement. You want to host another event where people, literally in the summer, people were just talking about kids being sexually harassed and sexually assaulted at these events. Like, what is?
It was an online tournament. It was an online tournament though.
Regardless of the online tournament or not, Nintendo is trying to. They have to fix their face. Not something that they damaged, something the community damaged. Because the community, I'm not saying, because I don't want people to, this is where context is important. People take this out of context. I'm not saying that they should not have addressed these wrongs in the community. But clearly, the way it was addressed hurt the scene more than it helped it.
Okay.
There's always two sides to it. So for Nintendo to have someone take their intellectual property, side brand it as Slippy for any tournament, online, offline, in space, on Mars, it doesn't matter, without their express written, because you didn't go to them first and ask them for it, that they have to come and send you a cease and desist to stop. It's just like the Etikons.
How else? Which we'll get to the Etikons in just a bit. How else could they have ran the tournament with Melee? Because many Smash Brothers players would say, well, Nintendo has never re-released Melee for us to play online, and we still play the game.
Well, they usually there's two ways that people would do Melee online. There's through Slippy and then Dolphin. But Slippy is a better. It has rollback and is better online than Dolphin. But my opinion on the situation is, this is from what I heard. I'm not 100% sure if it's true or not. But before Big House, I guess, made the announcement, the date of the event, I guess a week before the actual event was going to happen. Actually, sorry, weeks before the event was actually going to even be announced, I heard that Nintendo told them that they cannot do this, and then they still undermined Nintendo, and they still was trying to do the online event, charge people entry fee, and have Slippy as part of the feature of the event. So then Nintendo was like, all right, you know what? You guys aren't listening. That's it. I think if you're going to be an event or rather a series that was prior sponsored by Nintendo, I guess to keep that relationship good, you should probably, I guess, listen to their terms and condition. If you don't, then it's just business. That's just the bottom line. I mean, in my opinion, I wouldn't have no outrage or nothing like that. I will also try to find a way to kind of come to some kind of middle ground in a situation. But that's just me, because based off history, all this back and forth war with Smash Brothers, Melee, and Nintendo, Nintendo's gonna win. Like, I keep telling people, this is gonna win, and especially if you got your leaders being as fickle as they are now. If your leaders is that way, what makes you think you're gonna win this war? You're not.
Now, let me jump in for a second, because we need to attack the root of the problem. And the root of the problem is this. Melee, like Agent Smith would say, it is inevitable. Melee is going to die, and there is nothing they can do about it. Actually, there's one thing they can do about it, but they're not willing to go that route because they would be controlled in doing it. there's a company called GG Pro. Is that the one that did the online infrastructure for some of those fighting games, right?
Smash.gg that was purchased by Microsoft recently.
Oh, okay. So if these guys really, really want to preserve Melee and for it to be played online, you know, it's nothing for them to literally get some of their best, contact Nintendo, create an actual company, propose to Nintendo as this company, we're going to create an online infrastructure that can run independent as a third party for Nintendo under Nintendo's licenses, go through all of their agreements, their terms, their services, and whatever, and propose that to Nintendo and say, we will do this for Nintendo, and Nintendo can create a budget to provide that system for them, and then Nintendo can re-release Melee on the Switch or any of their current systems and whatnot, and do that. That's what dudes did for Third Strike, and it worked.
Okay,
but you know what?
But should it be on them to do that? I mean, Nintendo has known for 20 years that people want Melee, right? Like on like
no. Whoa. Hold on. Before you even, that's why I said let's get to the core of the situation. No, Nintendo wants to move on from Melee. That is why Smash Ultimate is here. Smash Ultimate is here because there are 4 other Smashes before it. And what Smash Ultimate's job is to do is to combine all of Smash's entire history into one ultimate game where Nintendo can move on and focus on its profits and its bottom line today, because it is a business. That's the point. It does not want to be chained to a dead game. It's not a dead game. It is a dead game. In the market, it's dead. No one buys it. People play it in the community. Yes, it's alive in the community, but in the business, on the market, it is dead.
Because they haven't re-released it like on Virtual Console or something like that.
They haven't. There's a reason why Nintendo hasn't released that game on Virtual Consoles. They want people to move on. And
exactly.
the logistics behind trying to orchestrate an event like that is tough. You got to get a. Let me tell you something, because I'm a veteran Melee player. The amount of detailing you gotta have to run a Melee tournament is ridiculous. You have to get GameCubes or whatever device you can to play the game. Then you gotta make sure, and this is just to please the competitive Melee scene. You gotta get CRTs to play the game, because if you don't, then you have the chances of your game lagging, and then the competitive players are gonna complain saying this tournament sucks. I had laggy setups and yada yada yada. So there's a lot of stuff that you have to go through just to even please them. So say for example, Nintendo says, okay, let's do X, Y, and Z. Then these guys gotta lug around these big ass TVs, pardon my language, these big TVs.
No, you're good.
And then you gotta get the games. It's just too much for what? And I tell everybody this, in a business standpoint, let's keep it real. What does Nintendo get out of this? What is the market value of the Super Smash Bros. Melee competitive scene for Nintendo? There is none. This is literally a charity case for Nintendo, literally. And I'm from the Melee scene. I like playing the game, but I'm keeping it real with them. It's a charity case, and almost even Ultimate is a charity case, because as far as competitively, it's a charity case for Nintendo, because their sales come from the casual people and the people who actually love the series for what it is, playing with items on, Smash Balls, all of that stuff, just out the box Smash. But everybody else,
the majority of their market.
Okay,
basically,
yeah. I see. I see what you guys are saying, and I get that, because that's been the argument that people will put up. Oh well, if they re-release the game, then they can have this for it. But I mean, I guess I see the other side of it. Maybe one of these days, they're like, because people. Like, for example, like you look at Capcom, you look at all these other companies, they re-release their old games with online play too, you know? Like,
so long as the main game isn't threatened, if they can re-release the game that complements the current IP that's the current product that's making them money, they don't mind doing that. When everyone complained when they made the Wii U, right? Smash Brothers, we call it Smash 4, just Smash whatever they call it. For everyone was like, man, I would love to we need to play on the GameCube controller because no one wanted to play on a Pro controller. What did Nintendo do? To appease the audience, moving forward, they re-released the GameCube controller. The thing here is that if Melee is going to be brought back or sustained in a virtual contest, it has to support the current product right now, because that is Nintendo's main case right now. So this small community of a certain number of gods that controls a couple thousand, 100,000. I'll give them 1 million, and we know there isn't 1 million Smash Brothers hardcore fans out there. There's 1 million players, but not hardcore. But let's just give them 1 million. That does not even equal literally 1% of the amount, the millions that have bought Ultimate. They're not even 1%. And the problem here is when these fans are stuck in Melee, they won't buy the new game. And Nintendo's job is to get the Smash Brothers fandom, whether hardcore or casual, to buy the new game.
But
if you have an elite,
but all the Melee players did buy the new game though.
And you know what they say? You know, some of them who can't convert over and say, man, this game sucks. That's why I like Melee. And how does that affect the new game? When people are hearing that, and cause that's what was said when Smash came out for the Wii U and Smash came out from the Ultimate, Melee fans were bashing it. They were literally bashing it. And Nintendo's like, okay, so this is exactly why we have to somehow kill this game. Because we don't need, no one in Third Strike is going to sit there and say, that's why I hate Street Fighter 5 or Street Fighter 4. They'll just play, they're like, look, I prefer Street Fighter 3. But I'm not going to hate against the new games. Same thing for virtual.
Well, I mean, don't watch LTG streams, but yeah, I feel what you're saying.
We know there's a couple of guys out there that have some different opinions, but not to the point where their influence can influence whole communities and scenes. That's the issue. The Melee community is the anomaly to this all, because it is one of the few brand generation games that has a mass influence on the entire franchise, and that's dangerous to the company. If the company cannot keep that under control, that could hurt their bottom line. And then the fact that the leaders in the community, not the community itself, the leaders in the community don't say, why don't we create a Melee company that goes and talks with Nintendo? Let's propose a plan to Nintendo. 3 or 4 years down the pipeline, we can get a Melee virtual infrastructure where we can keep Melee alive. No, you want to know what these guys want to do? They want to operate independently, third party from Nintendo, and act like they run Melee, like it's not Sakurai's game. Like these guys, I'm like, yo, what are you doing? No, why should we wait 3 years? What do you mean, why should you wait 3 years? It's their game. Do you want the game to live or not? If you want the game to live or not, then you will do everything in your power to work on Nintendo's timetable, not yours. It's not your game.
Okay.
If they've been doing this since 2015, they would have had a Melee online infrastructure by now.
Wes, you wanted to hop in there, Wes. What do you want to say?
Let me tell you something. Nintendo doesn't, based off of, I guess, past events, I think Nintendo wants peace. I think they want to merge everything together, but the Melee community doesn't want to. The reason why I say that is because there's been 2 occasions where they've actually invited Smash Brawl, Melee, Smash 4 community leaders together at an event. Actually, I was at one of them that just passed, like I guess it was invitational for Smash Brothers Ultimate, right? So we had all different types of. Actually, we had Smash Brothers Ultimate. Smash Brothers Melee, Smash 4, other Smash players and other FGC members invited to this invitational to test out the new game. And then what's messed up is they got invited. Some of them competed in the event. When they went home, they started talking mess about the game, saying it's trash. Nintendo this. I got betrayed by Nintendo. I thought I was gonna have Melee mechanics. I'm like, you've
been up on Reddit.
Yeah, they did this 2 times. They did this for Smash 4 Invitational. Dudes posting up on Twitter saying the game is trash. I got betrayed by Nintendo. How you get betrayed by Nintendo? If anything, Nintendo got betrayed by you guys because they didn't have to invite you to these events. They could have literally had some Joe Schmoes on the street come to these invitationals and just played in the events and call it a day. But no, they took the time to invite us to these events.
Wes, PlayerEssence, right? OJ.
Yes.
Keep this in mind, right? When Smash 4 was released, Nintendo went out of their way. They knew some people could not get into E3. you couldn't get into E3 and get into the Nintendo booth. So you know what Nintendo did when they released Smash 4? They went across the street and they literally booked the Nokia Center to host a Smash 4 tournament for 3,000 people to go to for free. Oh, Nintendo is doing it for the community. They went away and said, all right, it's going to be hard to get everyone in the West Hall to get into E3, the public. So we're going to go across the street from the Staples Center and we're going to book out an entire theater so that even if you couldn't get into E3, if you flew across the country to come down for E3 and you couldn't get in for E3, you could still get into the tournament. You can still at least watch the tournament. How are you going to say Nintendo does not support the scene when dudes don't want me to list the things Nintendo has done for this community that Microsoft and Sony combined could not hold a candle to? For these dudes to be saying what this is complete straight disrespect. It is. That's why I'm so passionate about it, because I'm like, did these guys forget? You know what they're like? What have you done for me lately, Nintendo? It's about what Nintendo does for them lately. So it doesn't matter what Nintendo did for them last year or the year before or whatever. If Nintendo doesn't do something for them now, they act like they're spoiled brats, entitled, and it's wild.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the issue that I see sometimes too. It seems like, oh, what have you done for me lately? And then like I'm gonna ignore, like they hate their fans and all this, but they host tournaments for people to go to for free. They do all sorts of stuff. I've seen things. I've worked with Nintendo firsthand, so I mean to see that, because it's still like people that work there, right? Like it's still like humans. They're not like Dr. Robotnik or something like that, or like evil corporation. Like they're just like people. I mean, even like EA, like I've said that about EA, and like I think like there's still people that work there, and I think that there's still people. Like I know JP Callums, he works on Madden. Like you guys know how much I don't like Madden because I used to be a huge Madden fan, but I don't hate JP. I talk to JP on Twitter whenever I don't hate all of EA because they didn't do some things, because JP's still a person. For those who don't know, JP used to work at Platinum Games. He was a producer on Bayonetta. He was a producer on, you know, lots of different Platinum Games titles, Wonderful 101. He worked on all that. So that's the JP that I'm talking about. But now he works at EA for Madden, and we disagree on things, but he still follows me. I still follow him because he's still a human being and he still has feelings and emotions and, you know, stuff like that. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with him and a lot of the people that work there. So like people can say, oh, EA's just evil corporation, everybody that, it's like, that's just not it. I mean, you can just disagree with some of the stuff, but that doesn't mean like everybody that works there is just this horrible person or whatever the case is. But I mean, to kind of go to your point with what you guys were saying, like, yeah, I agree with it. Like, I can see where the frustration is, but like to sit there and say like, oh, they don't care about it at all. And like, I mean, I'm seeing like, and like I said, I don't like to call out people's names and stuff like that, but I mean, like, I would like to see, like, I see a lot of these check marks, man. Like, I see a lot of these check marks. I see Zane. I mean, I see Leffen. I see, you know, Mango. I see all these guys and like what they're saying. And these guys aren't like 17, 18, 19. These guys are like Mango's like almost 30. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see Hugs like 30 stuff. Like, I see these guys that are older and like they're not, I don't think they're doing a good job. And I know Mango's kind of crazy. I know these guys, they just say whatever they want. That's been their style. But maybe they think that it's over, that nothing's going to change because they feel that they've been abused for so long on this. So maybe that's the reason why. But I mean, I don't know. I just don't feel, I know Zane's really young. He's not as old as Mango or Hugs or anything. But like, I don't know. I just think that I personally wish they would have a better attitude about it and kind of come about in order to kind of get what they want. I know that's what we had to do. I mean, look, man, I was with it too. Triforce. I mean, I think you were there creating, you know, like with getting Nintendo to realize that like YouTubers aren't their enemy, or YouTubers can be your benefit too, you know, like, which apparently that might not be like, because like all we wanted was for them to stop monetize, like for them to stop claiming our footage, like of their footage of the games, like when we cover them. That's all we wanted, and like we got that, so everybody's happy now. But I mean, like, I guess with the Smash community, it seems like there's other things, right? The cancellation of the tournament, whatever the case is, the Splatoon, that was another situation, which I want to get you guys' thoughts on that. You know, then we'll wrap it up with the Etika Joycon stuff. But I want to get you guys' thoughts. I guess like the Splatoon situation it's a branch off from what happened with the free melee stuff. So I mean, you guys heard about that, right, Wes? You heard about that?
Yes. I've heard. I guess you could correct me on the story that I heard. I heard that basically, in support of the free melee campaign, people from the Splatoon community, they I guess boycotted Nintendo's live stream for the finals, and then they had their own live stream, and they raised money on their own on the side during their own live stream for their players. Is that correct, or is something else?
A little. Well, the thing about it is that it was going to be. Yes, you're right about the tournament that was held on the side when it was canceled. The cancellation, but the reason why it was canceled, Nintendo canceled it because they had free melee in their names as like their hashtag in their names that were going to be officially on Nintendo's stream.
Oh, that's silly.
Yeah, they saw that on the Discord. People were going to change their name to Free Melee beforehand and then put their name on there. So then Nintendo was like, wait a minute, you guys can't do that. And they're like, oh, well, we're still going to, apparently. So then Nintendo canceled the whole live stream. And then, yes, they did make a separate one. They did raise money. I know Vish, who's a commentator, he donated, I think, $1,000 towards that because, since they supported the community, other people did the same thing as well. So that was the situation there. I guess it's just a branch off of what we already talked about. But I mean, like,
can I speak on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I speak on?
Sure.
All right. So the first thing I want to mention is because this, I don't think you know about this, OJ. This is when you were on the come up, right? Show you like the stuff Nintendo was doing back in 2010.
Oh, I wasn't.
Yeah, goes that far back. No, but like, you came around shortly after though.
Yeah, 2010 is when I started, but it wasn't until 2012 when I actually got like 1,000 subscribers on like my first channel or something like that.
I want to tell you a story. In fact, I'm going to give you something right now. I'm going to give you, this is on my channel, right? You can share this up to, where do I put this? Or I'll just send this to you directly.
Yeah, you can send me a DM.
Yeah, I sent it to you in the DM, right?
Okay.
There's a lady who used to work for Nintendo. Her name is Kathy, right? And her job was Nintendo hired her to go into the community to find, this is before the entire ambassador program started, to go find actual ambassadors. This is how I became Nintendo's first ambassador. Literally, that story right there. And her job was to go find out people who actually supported the Nintendo brand and try to connect them directly with the company. So, right. So if you remember how there's some people in here is like Triforce is the one who created a bridge between Nintendo and them. That's not true. The person who created the bridge between the Nintendo and the community is Kathy. She is the one who created a bridge and reached out to me and then used me to create the bridge for the community. But people don't know about those type of things. And the reason why I'm saying that is that when they reach out to people, a prime example of somebody who gets it, Abdallah. I always praise Abdallah because when it comes to him and understanding the business and the culture of the community and how to meld it perfectly together to represent Nintendo and represent the gamers in the community properly, he's like literally the ideal person to do it. He's even better than me. Like he's like this generation's Nintendo's actual bridge because he knows how to speak the way Nintendo needs it to speak to represent their brand. The reason why I'm bringing this up between like myself, you, Abdallah, and whatnot, first of all of us are, no, that'll come off wrong. That'll come off me insulting them. I wouldn't say that. All of us are professional in how we deal with Nintendo. We don't deal with Nintendo through social media. We don't try to threaten or make claims like the free melee hashtag on the Splatoon tournament. Who you think's gonna win that war ultimately in the end? You think that's gonna hurt Nintendo? Like if Nintendo wants to be petty, Nintendo can say no one can run any video game tournaments with any of our games without our express written consent. Like the NBA, you just can't do anything nothing with our brand whatsoever, or there's a lawsuit. Nintendo really could do that if they really wanted to, but Nintendo just backed off and just said, all right, you know something, if you guys want to protest us, and you're protesting the wrong people because we're not doing anything wrong. They're not doing anything wrong. How does Melee affect Splatoon? And you see how dangerous this is getting now?
Yeah, I do see that.
One game has nothing to do with another game. Splatoon is a new intellectual property within the last 4 years of Nintendo. Yet a game that came out 10 years ago is threatening Nintendo marketing that game today. Mm-hmm. If I was the president of Nintendo, I'd be like, kill Melee. As I execute it right now, execute it, but we're going to get a lot of blowback. We'll take the blowback for a year. We'll drop Sephiroth and a couple of new characters and whatever. Everyone will forget about it after a year, and we just take the hit for the 1 year. Number two, you think IGN, you think ESPN, you think any of these esports companies are going to sit here and say anything against Nintendo? Name one single one of those platforms that said anything negative about Nintendo. No, it's all coming from top players. And do you know why? Because those companies know after this little stupid debacle and protest is over, we still need to do business with Nintendo. And we don't want to be on the bad side. We don't. Because that's Nintendo. So, Lesson, Mango, Hungry Box, all you do is you're on your own. These guys are playing checkers, and this is chess.
Here's the funny thing about it, right? I get Splatoon wants to be about it, right? But my whole question is this: for the Melee community, would you guys do that? Would they do that for the Splatoon community if they was under fire? I don't think so.
The community don't care about anyone but Melee. They don't even care about the other Smash community.
I don't think they would do that, bro.
They don't care about 64. They don't care about Brawl. They don't care about Project M. They don't care about Ultimate. They don't care about 4. They just care about Melee. They don't even care about their own other Smash Brothers community, which is crazy. So the fact that Splatoon stood in the fire and took a shot in their face, I'm like, what are y'all doing? Well, you know something? Knock on wood. Triforce knocking on wood. I bet you if Pokemon has a tournament and they go, yo, we're gonna put Melee, free Melee on the tournament, and Nintendo said we'll cancel the Pokemon tournament. The Pokemon people will look at Melee and be like, you on your own. We are not.
No, well, here's the thing. The reason why they say that is you got some little kid that might not go to college now because they be giving out scholarships and stuff like that. This little kid ain't going to go to Stanford now because some freaking greasy Melee guy was like, it's all free Melee, bro.
Like, you on your own. You got to fight that battle on your own. Don't be dragging us into your shit. That's on you, B. We forgot about, unlike you, we forgot about Red and Blue eons ago. And we moved on to whatever Platinum, Diamond, Zirconia, or whatever version of Pokemon there is. These guys still stuck on it. Nah, they're like, nah, you on your own. I can't believe when I saw Splatoon did that, I was like, what are these guys doing? Melee would have never done that for you. And that's not us being hyperbole or just making that. The fact is Melee wouldn't have done it. Melee doesn't care about anything but Melee. That's the fact.
They legit took a big old bullet. But I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it worked out for them because they ended up running a separate tournament and ended up getting some backing from, the community went back into kind of like, so.
Question though. At what expense in the relationship towards Nintendo?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a hit in the relationship.
Here's the thing. We all know, man. If you're gonna protest, you better keep that energy the same. Don't stop, man. You gotta keep it. Now you already, you put the line in the sand. You better don't put a little pinky on over the sand because then you're done. You gotta stay where you at now. You draw the line. That's it. There's no turning back. Splatoon, you Melee now, yo. That's it.
Well, we'll see.
You got the Slippy brand on your chest and the Melee logo on your chest now. You part of us. You part of the Melee community now.
No bullets for no Melee community, man. They don't even like you guys. They don't even like the rest of Nintendo. Like, come on, don't be doing that, man. Listen, when Melee does something for the rest of the Nintendo scene as a brand, as a whole, then you do that. But don't be jumping and taking bullets for other people, man. That's not your fight, man. That is not your fight.
It just reminds me of like the meme with Apu and Simpsons, like when he jumps into like you guys know what I'm talking. I don't know if you guys have seen that meme, but Apu like tries to take the bullet for somebody else in the Quickie Mart or whatever. It reminds me of the meme that people use. It seems like Splatoon.
Was that for Lisa?
Huh?
I think it was for Lisa, right?
Huh?
I think you mean from The Simpsons when he jumped in the line of fire for Lisa.
Yeah. He was
yeah.
It just reminds me of that. They definitely got capped. I mean, because like obviously, some of these guys they create content. And like I said, I think that personally, with like what you guys said here, like I agree, but I just wanted to get you guys' thoughts on that, man. I agree with what some of the stuff that you guys are saying. Like I think that obviously things could be handled better across the board. I think from everybody's standpoint, things could be handled better across the board, but there is some ridiculous stuff happening. So the last point that I want to get to, because I'm not trying to take up you guys' all of you guys' day, man. I do appreciate you guys joining me. But the last point I wanted to get to, I think this one might be the spiciest one here, guys. So brace yourselves. Okay, so the Etika Joycon situation. So let me give you guys some information first before we kind of talk about this, because this has to do this is with the whole rash of PR, and I don't want to live in an echo chamber. You know what I'm saying? Like when I talk to people, so say your full opinion or say your actual what you guys think. I'm gonna bring on some other people to talk about this too next week, guys. So I'm gonna do my best to bring on more people, because like I said, I don't like being in an echo chamber. Like I don't want everybody just to agree with me on certain things and whatever the case is, because it's fine. It's no big deal if somebody doesn't. That's fine. We talk about it like men or like adults.
Yeah.
But this Etika Joycon situation. So Captain Alex, first it looked like maybe he was scamming, right? $10 charity and all that, but he actually provided, long story short, he provided a bit of proof that the money was donated to charity. So there was tens of thousands of dollars. He provided the proof that was the case, that he was not pocketing that based on the things, so we'll give him that. Now there still are some things, with that, but I don't want the chat and everybody be like, oh, he was scamming everybody and all that. I canceled my video. I talked to Captain on Twitter. I talked to Captain Alex on Twitter. He seems, based on the information that he provided, that it did seem like he did donate. However, like some of you guys are pointing out, he did wait months and months and months, then jumped on there's negativity now. Now I'm going to say something. When this happened back in September, there are some things that are a bit shifty, which I'd love to bring Captain Alex on to talk about that. But at the same time, the money was donated to charity. Okay, there was a large sum of money donated to charity. And he did talk to Etika's brother on the situation. So Etika's brother has been informed now, and it seems like they're rocking with it now at this point. So there was that. There are still some other things, but it does seem, the majority of it does seem to be somewhat resolved with the outrage. Now, let's talk about the legal part of it, right? So that was the big thing. Even if, however you feel, let's just say everything was legit. There was no controversy whatsoever. So hypothetically speaking, everything was fine, normal, blah, blah, blah. Nintendo shut this down. What are you guys' thoughts? Let's just speak about it on that point. What are you guys' thoughts, and how do you feel? Triforce, I'll go with you first, Wes, then we'll get with you next, man. What are you guys' thoughts on this, Triforce? Because I know you wanted to speak on this.
Okay, so this is straight, clean cut for me. Based on what I heard, originally he did not contact Etika's family. He contacted Etika's family afterwards, right?
Yes,
but originally that's correct. He did not contact Etika's family. Number two, he did not correct me if I'm wrong, because this part I've had no concrete evidence to this. I've only heard, so I don't know if this is even true or not. He hit up Nintendo. Nintendo said no. He decided to go along with it anyway. Then Nintendo hit it with the cease and desist.
From what I've heard, he did not hit up Nintendo. Nintendo saw it, asked him to stop multiple times. He did not. He said no, essentially. Then Nintendo hit him with the cease and desist.
Now, let me say this in totality. If what was just said between me and you is 100% accurate, Captain Alex is wrong. Period. 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 I don't want to hear it. Just period. He's wrong. This is wrong. Period. That's it. There's nothing else to discuss. He's wrong legally. He's wrong ethically. He's wrong morally. Period. He's wrong morally because, one, he's using a dead man's name to raise charity without informing the family of said dead person. He's legally wrong because he did not contact the company in which the intellectual property is tied to. He's ethically wrong because said company told him to stop multiple times and he did it. He's wrong. Period. This is not a discussion. I don't care if this was for a good cause. Let me tell you why I don't care if this is for a good cause. Let's go back to Evolution 2013. A lot of dudes try to use charity. You guys have to look at this. They try to use charity to manipulate their end goals.
I was gonna say the same thing. I'm 100% with the same thing Triforce said. The issue I have is me and my friends, we run a nonprofit organization, so I'm kind of familiar with that sector, and I come to the realization that a lot of people, they use charity as a shield, to do things. It sucks, but you gotta go through the proper channels to get things done. You have to, if you're gonna do a charity for a dead man, you gotta contact their family, because you don't know if the family is still mourning at the person being dead, and you want to bring, you know what I'm saying? You kind of bringing up that situation again, because the family is gonna have to be a part of it to some degree. So you gotta contact the family first. Then the intellectual property that you're using from Nintendo, you gotta contact them as well. So yeah, he's definitely wrong for that. You can't do those things. And then if they tell you not to, you can't use charity as a shield because that's typically what he's doing. That's typically what he's doing. You can't use charity. Oh, since I'm it's for a good cause. You know, Nintendo's gonna be just, you know, Nintendo's gonna look bad for going against me because I'm trying to do it for charity. No, it doesn't work that way. You can't always use charity as a shield. It's not cool, man. So yeah, he's wrong for that.
Yeah, and
now we're not demonizing him. We're not saying he's a terrible person, whatever. We're just looking at the situation for what it is. Was he right or wrong in what he did? What he did was wrong. He can simply apologize and look to rectify the situation. It's not like he's the devil's son. I don't know why people are making it that much.
Here's the thing I don't like about people being wrong, period, right? And this goes in line with cancel culture, right? Alex was wrong what he did, but he definitely shouldn't be witch hunted, canceled, because
absolutely,
we as human beings, we need to learn from our mistakes. You cannot learn and grow from mistakes if you're canceled. Yeah. If you're canceled and thrown in a box by yourself, who can you go to become a better person? Nobody. That's me and my friends talk about this all the time. Why is this person be like, I don't know if you've seen this. I know this is a little bit off topic, but people were going ham on Disney because they had, they had Yoda eating eggs or something, baby eggs. They said Disney needs to be canceled because, but yo, it's part of the dago. It's a freaking, it's an extraterrestrial being. Like, he gonna eat eggs. Like, you gonna cancel Disney because you don't agree with them? Like, that's bullshit.
Well, he didn't eat eggs because he's a fictional character, so the eggs are fictional too.
That's but you get my point, right? In order to learn, you gotta have somebody to correct you on your mistakes, and then you fix your mistakes, and then we move on as humans. You don't cancel somebody.
Let's make sure that we're clear, because people are asking us the same questions about something. He had contacted Etika's family. It seems like he was contacted Etika's family later. Before he didn't. From what we understand, if you have the consent of someone's family, it would probably be, this probably wouldn't have even came up in the first place. If Etika's family was involved in the first place, then if they were involved and they knew and everything was good, then this question of did he contact them or not wouldn't have even been here, because we would have known that that he's been contacted. Thank you, Grizzly Sin. Thank you for the membership. I do appreciate that, and also thank you, CX, with the subscription. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. But I think that's the biggest issue that's coming about here. He contacted them later, and that was after the fact, right? After some of the situation. Like, you need to contact them before the situation, and on top of that, there's no license in order to get what you. And I get it, but here's the issue. Yeah, real quick, I just want to say, the issue that I say is that I get it, it's for a good cause, and I said this too, but I'm with Wes. I don't like to cancel people. We don't cancel anybody here. That's not something that we do. So if I mention, like, we don't cancel stuff. Like, I don't do that here. I don't like it. I've never liked it. I've spoke against it a bunch of times when Brie Larson came up and people were sitting there and bashing Brie Larson in my chat. I said, stop trying to make her out to be the devil or something like that. Like, whatever, if you don't like her, cool. So I'm not, even though she's a obviously millionaire actor, she's not going to be canceled or whatever. But people try to cancel people all the time and try to do that, and I don't like it. I don't like it whatsoever. I'd rather ask them questions if I disagree with them, like Leppin. I'm not trying to cancel Leppin. I just want to ask them, what are you going to do about it? You know what I'm saying? I want to ask them, like, man to man, what are you going to do if you're going to put out these type of threats? But with this situation, like, you can't be using charity as a shield. And I just want to agree with you guys. You can't be doing that, because then anybody can say, well, I'm going to use this. I'm going to, without Nintendo's permission, or without this, not even just Nintendo, without Sony's permission, I'm going to make plastic shells for the PS5. It's a hot item right now. I'm going to make it. It's for my deceased grandmother who died from cancer. It's for charity. I'm raising money. So I'm gonna, but I don't need the permission from anybody, from the company. I'm just gonna do it. Anybody can just start doing that now, and you have no connection with that person. You don't know if the money's actually going where they say it's going. You have no idea, because you didn't ask any. It's just, so you can't just allow people in the name of charity to use whatever you want when other people have to go through licenses and stuff like that. Even though they might be donating through charity with some of the proceeds and stuff like that, you can't use charity as a way to just do what you want and bypass laws. And like, you can't do that. And we all love Etika. We all love my channel. I talked to Alice, his ex, the other day. We talked for more than an hour and everything. And I feel that, it was so good to talk to somebody that was so close. to Etika, regardless of what happened at the end. Regardless, like, you know, it was so good to hear some of the stuff and everything. We all loved Etika. I owe a great deal of my success to how Etika paved the way for African American content creators, people of color, whatever the case is, to have some clout to do something on YouTube, because before then there was nobody. Twitch, yes. Twitch, plenty. Esports, plenty. But YouTube, no. There wasn't. Before Etika, there wasn't. There just really wasn't. He was the first dude. So we owe a lot to him, but you can't just use that as a vehicle to say, well, I'm going to do this without it and just bypass everything. You know, I mean, that's what I wanted to say. I mean, Wes, or Triforce, or whoever was going to speak, go ahead.
I think in regards to Alex, it's simply put, it was good intentions, just bad execution. I think that's it.
Yeah.
That's facts. Now, the thing here is, so let me, because this is going to come up again. So I want to leave this bit of information for people who are young guys who don't understand how the industry works. Okay. Now, some of you guys, this question may be running through people saying, but why don't Nintendo just let them do it? What's the problem? Great question. Excellent question. Here's an answer. Not the answer, but here's an answer, because you guys are not educated on certain things. I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm saying you're not educated on certain things. One, Etika is synonymous with Joy-Con boys. Joy-Con boys is an, how can I put this? I want to use a politically correct term. Is a illegal brand that runs parallel to the Joy-Cons. What I mean by illegal brand is this: the brand is not trademarked by anyone, right? But the brand comes from Nintendo. Etika created a brand when he said Joy-Con boys, and that's not something Nintendo owns. Etika dying, the brand got, for those, I'm using the worst word for it, the brand got martyred to Etika's name, and he's now dead. If they had made the Etikons, Joy-Con boys would become an established brand that Nintendo doesn't own, but it has something to do with Nintendo's intellectual property. This is the reason you have to go through the company. The company would have to sit down. Let's say Alex had gone talk to Etika's brother. Oh, word? I think we need to talk to Nintendo, because I want to try to see if we can get Joy-Con boys properly branded. They went to Nintendo. It is only fair that Nintendo goes, we need to own the the Joy-Con boys brand, because it's a part of their intellectual property with the actual device. The reason why Nintendo would have to own that, it's not to use it. It's usually to shelf it. It's just so that no one can use it to run against what they're selling. So they just shelf it. Okay, we'll run it. We'll do the Joy-Con boys campaign. We could do this thing. You can run it. You can. The money goes to proceeds for charity. We probably run an extended line. One of our Nintendo acknowledges Etika as a member of the community. They got to do their PR, the marketing, the promotion, the advertising, all of these things that they got to go through to make sure that at the end of the day, Nintendo is protected, right? Etika's family is compensated. The guy who came up with the production to do the charity, he's taken care of, and because he has to be paid for his work. No one works in America for free. That's illegal. He has to be paid for that work, and the charity organization is taken care of. They got to go through all of that legalese. That's not our actual word, I just use it. But you got to go through all that legality before they can go forward. And a lot of people, what happens is they get so impulsive that just want to do it, and they want to cut through the red tape. And that's not how corporations work. No, you really want to get it done, and you want to get it done properly, you must go through the red tape. But what if it takes 5 years? Then it takes 5 years. The company has to protect itself. So for those who ever ask, why can't these companies just allow people to do things? There's a word, it's called liability. Nintendo doesn't want to get sued because of something somebody else did.
Well, I don't expect, here's the thing about it. First of all, I don't expect the average fan or even the average content creator to know almost anything. That's the reason why passing the bar and lawyer stuff, like legal stuff, is very complex, and most people hire lawyers is because they don't know or they can't know. So of course normal fans aren't going to be able to understand. I think the problem that where we run into is when people don't even want to understand. You know, they don't want to listen to the other side. And if you're on one side, they'll call you a shill, they'll call you a fanboy, they'll call you names when you're simply saying, well, it's not as simple as just allowing people to use unlicensed things whenever they want to without your permission and doing that. Like when other people have to go through it. So you're letting one person do it, but then you're not letting other, like you're allowing, like everybody else has to go through licenses and stuff, regardless of the situation. But then this person does not because of a special circumstance or situation. Most of the time in business, regardless of where it is, that's not going to fly because then people think that they can start taking advantage of you. Companies think that there are people that are here. Who in the chat here has been taken advantage of because of their niceness? Anybody here? I'm pretty sure everybody here at one point has had somebody take advantage of them because they thought they were doing something one thing, then something else happens. Now with companies and corporations, this happens all the time. People try to do things. Now I'm not saying that Captain Alex was doing that. What we're talking about is I'm not relating it to this, like with the Joy-Cons and saying Captain Alex was trying to do that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that there's a whole process set up in the legal system so these type of things don't happen. So you can go through the legal process so people can't take advantage of the company. And nobody would want that if you ran your own business. Nobody would want that for anything, right? But I get it. People think that since a company has billions of dollars or millions of dollars that it doesn't matter, but it does. You have to go through your checks and balances regardless of the situation. Some might slip through the cracks, but that doesn't mean it's okay. And like I said, I'm not trying to talk about it as, oh, well, it's just okay for this or not okay for this situation or one situation or another. I'm just saying just in general, the legality of the things, you know what I'm saying? From both sides. I get one side of it and I'm there. I mean, it would be dope if, you know, they just let this rock. But at the other time, like I look at it like, okay, well, wait a minute here. Like they need to get the license. They need to talk to them. They need to set things up. And if it takes, like you said, 4 years, then look, I waited that long to get monetization on my channel from without having to hyper edit my videos. Okay. Like I had to wait that. So I know the process. Okay. It took a long time. It took a very long time, you know, for that to happen, for us to be able to use the footage. I mean, like I'm getting claimed for Super Mario Odyssey for simply talking about the game when it's literally free advertising for them. You know, this is not that long ago. This is 2017 when Odyssey was coming out. It wasn't until later, until 2018 when Nintendo finally decided that. So I've been creating content on Nintendo since 2012. You see what I'm saying? And getting videos claimed after claimed after claimed. And this was back when I wasn't barely making any money. 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015. You know? So, I mean, I get it. Like, I understand. Like, I understand what people are saying. Like, I totally get it from both sides. But I've been on that boat. Yeah, you got it. But there never once did I do what some of these guys are doing. Or did I try to bypass or try to just say I can do this. I simply calmly said, hey, this is the situation. You know, I'm glad that Nintendo listened. You know, I'm glad that they listened to us eventually. But, I mean, like, you know, to kind of like get to the final point here, I know with like if anybody has anything to add with the Etika Joy-Con stuff, I mean, anybody else have anything to add to that or any other topics you want to discuss with it?
Me personally, I actually like the idea. Had the guy made one, well, first of all, I need new Joy-Cons anyway. So if it had gone through, I would have bought the Etikons, but and it still can be done. It's not like it can't be done, but it maybe not through Alex because Nintendo told him no and he still did it, so he has already offended Nintendo. But if Etika's family hears this message, I think you guys should go to Nintendo and ask them if there's any way that you guys could do that as a tribute. It could be a one-time sale. I forgot that. It could be just like a one-time campaign to pay homage to one of Nintendo's most prominent figures in the communities and influencers of communities, and it could be a one-time thing, and then proceeds can go to charity or whatever it is. I'm down to buy it. I support it, but like they have to go through Nintendo. That's just me. So that's all I have to say against that. And like I said, nothing against you, Alex. I don't have anything personal. First of all, I don't even know you. So I have nothing personal. I'm just saying, legally, ethically, morally, you are in the wrong. This is unfortunate. I wish you could have handled it a better way. But like Wes and OJ said, no one's trying to cancel you. Well, not us anyway.
No, not
but
us. No, not
yeah, we're not trying to cancel you. We're just saying that this is our stance on it. So that's my take.
Yeah, I spoke with him, and like I said, I don't want you guys to go over towards him. He did show plenty of proof, but I mean, he made some mistakes along the way, right? And look, we all make mistakes, okay?
Yeah, we all do.
We all make mistakes. I've made, dude, when the Switch was coming out, dude, that could have been career ending for me. That could have closed the whole channel down at some point if I handled it wrong. Afterwards, it could have been done. Because if I would have been a douchebag about it or whatever the case is, because I was being really brash and stupid beforehand and pushing people away that were trying to give me good information. So yeah, man, like I've been there before, but like, Alex, he said that he donated the money. He showed the proof. So, I mean, I don't think he made some mistakes along the way though, so.
Can I make a closing comment that's unrelated to the Alex thing?
Sure.
So I'm reading what Monado said, Monado Mario, and so we need to get something straight, because like I'm gonna put out a definitive statement, and I do not represent Nintendo legally or officially. I personally choose to represent Nintendo because I've always been a supporter for Nintendo for 30 years. For those who are wondering, well, who's this guy Triforce if you never... I'm 43 years old. So yeah, I've been around for all 35 years of Mario. All 35, actually more than that. But let me say this, and this is not Nintendo talking. This is Triforce talking, representing. If you guys think you're going to beat Nintendo, you guys are crazy. You guys are not beating Nintendo. All of these influencers, leaders, and blah, 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 you guys are all going to get iced like how LeBron won his championship this year. This is inevitable. You're not beating Nintendo. Know your role and shut your mouth.
Or open it very respectfully.
You had to put that up. You had to.
I mean, no, there's a right and wrong. No, like, if you're like a child, I don't expect like if you're 19, 20, or 21, 22, I expect these guys to be wilding out. That's fine. You're young. You say dumb things. Like I said, I think either the really highly followed people, like you said, Wes, like the people that are looked at and revered, like those people need to do better. I don't expect, Booty Slayer 45 in the comment section. Like I don't expect him to be like, oh well, let's calm down here, guys, and let's just go ahead and let's get. I don't expect that. Like nobody with no clout whatsoever. I just expect people with clout to do a little bit better for their own community. But I think the problem, and that's why I want to have one of these guys on. But it's so tough to get a melee player to even like a high level to even respond to you. It's almost impossible for them to talk to you.
Dude, they're in their bubble, man. It's tough, man. You know what you gotta? Let me tell you what you gotta do to get their attention, right? But it's gonna come a cost, right? It's gonna be a big price. Are you ready?
Sure.
You're gonna have to train with me in melee. I gotta get you mad good, and you gotta take them out of the tournament, man. Then
this is impossible, man. But I ain't beating freaking Hungry Box, and I'm gonna get freaking timed out by Jigs, dude. I'm gonna get back here 50 million times, then up to a rest.
You see the problem there? Like, why do you have to, in order to be able to converse with them like human beings, you have to play them in the game? Why is it like that? Like, their ego is so far up their butt that unless you're a top player, you can't talk to me. And it's just like, who are you? Like, really, who are you? And then now they really believe because they're a top player that they feel their voice is more powerful than the empire they're in. Like, literally, they're in Nintendo's empire, not the opposite way around. Nintendo's not in their empire. Like these guys, this is some goon stuff right here, man. This is just stupid. It's so dumb that their brains are work this way. Okay, maybe 15 years ago, when Melee came out with crap. Like, okay, maybe 20 years ago, they were all young and they thought like that. But like you said this earlier, these guys are adults. They're in their 30s. Why are they acting like that?
They're gods.
That's the gods.
Well, the only person that's in their third, I think, from the god realm is nobody is in their 30s from the god realm.
I'll say this now. Say this again. This is not the age of Rezi Filzame. This is the age of Bowser. These dudes are on level 1, and these dudes want to try to take a warp pipe from level 1 to 8-4. Now, as we all know, playing Super Mario Brothers, there is no warp pipe that takes you from level 1 to 8-4. There's one in World 1 and 1-2. You can go to World 4, and then from World 4, you can go to 8. But there's nothing that takes you directly to Bowser. So these guys were trying to skip all of these levels to see if they can get to Bowser. Y'all got Bowser all messed up. This is the wrong one. This is Bowser, the last level boss. He's going to body you. This is not a game. Well, it's a game, but it's not a game. Like,
yeah, I feel you on that. All right, well, guys, you know what? Fantastic having both of you guys. Wes, man, so good to have you on. Wes, I gotta hit you up on Twitter, bro. Are you on Twitter, right?
Yeah, you can follow me.
Okay, cool. I'll follow you.
I'll sub to your channel too, so I'm gonna keep tabs on you, see your stuff.
For sure. I don't do anything interesting. My channel sucks. Triforce, man. Thanks for coming on. I do appreciate it, man. I do appreciate having you on, bro. Anytime. Thanks for reaching out to me too. Thanks for reaching out. I appreciate that. So I'm gonna hop off the Discord here, guys. I'm gonna say my goodbyes to the chat in just a bit. And thanks for having you guys on. Thanks for coming onto the show. I appreciate that.